Good morning, and thank you for joining our daily broadcast on my daily broadcast on money habits. And the thing I want to talk today about is the health and wealth parallels and why they're important and how I've actually thought about some of the difficulties that people have when it comes to developing money habits or healthy habits, and how they both put us at a disadvantage. Like the pursuit of both is difficult because of some of the messages that we get that are around us and the things that are easily available, and sort of the resistance and the path of least resistance. And the reason I want to talk about health today is because my entire family is sick, and that's definitely, especially the kids, and so that's definitely put a sort of a damper into what I'm able to do and what I have been able to do in the last few days and maybe even upcoming day or two. And so this idea of health and why it's important and how it relates to health to wealth. And so one of the things that, let's talk about health a little bit. So exercise, right? Exercise is just we all know it's good for you, right? Eat less, exercise more. That's what I say when I tell people. I'm like, I know the secrets to life. Like if you want to become wealthy, make more, spend less. If you want to stay in good health or be skinny, right? Eat less, exercise more. And by the way, if you want to be better at dating, stop talking and start listening. And so for exercise, one of the challenges, like finding the time or making the time, or everything always comes ahead of it, right? And it's same with money habits. Like we put things ahead in our importance. They're kind of trivial, or the things that take our attention, right? Well, I could do this, but I'm struggling, or it's uncomfortable, or I'm just not. Maybe I do something else, and you don't get to do the look at your accounts or pay that bill or do something that's uncomfortable. And same with exercise. And the reason I want to talk about exercise, because I haven't always been very good about exercising or taking care of my health. And so it's only been about actually almost 3 years. So about 3 years, almost 3 years ago in January. So January 2013, I was pretty much, I was out of shape, struggling, like my knees were hurting. And one day, I had, I just decided, I heard someone talk about like, oh, I'm just going to go to the gym to lose a few pounds. It was a guy, and I was always like, oh, that irks me that you're going to work out and lose this weight. But what I did is I wrote down on a piece of paper, like my exercise schedule that I'm going to do every week, and actually followed it since that day. It was like middle of January 2013, and I've been doing it. And what I know, so I know how hard it is to get started. But one of the ways to get started on it is just to get going. And so the parallels that I sometimes draw between the health and wealth is like, when I think about a money coach, and it's somebody who helps you learn how to manage your money, it's like a personal trainer. And it's actually really great to get a personal trainer to show you how to do exercises. And I did, like when I was in my 20s, I had a personal trainer for just a few sessions, just to have someone show me how to use the weight machines, so I wouldn't be intimidated by it, right? So I would feel confident in knowing that I know how to use it, and not feel like, oh, I'm coming in here and I'm doing it wrong. And that's actually why I've used a personal trainer. It's like to have someone show me how to do it right. But the thing is then, healthy. So I started managing money, I started investing and managing money since 1998 was the first time I made like an investment, like in the stock market. And it was just an IRA, right? Individual retirement account. So I've built up over time. And some of it is like, it's not intentional. It's just like a habit. Like I just kept doing it. And so yeah, I've accumulated what I call enough, right? Like, 'cause different people have different enoughs. Like some people will never have enough, by the way. And so I have enough to have a bit more freedom. And so, and that's why, by reflecting on it, by looking back and saying, what did it? I mean, I've been haphazard in it. Like, it's not like in 98 I had some big plan and I've been executing ever since. It's just I made small decisions, small changes, on in my life. I just committed. I was like, oh, this is important, so I'm going to do that, without really knowing the impact that was going to have on me 20 years later. But just by doing it, just by starting, right? By signing up with that personal trainer and going to the gym and feeling like intimidated and having him encourage me, right? And saying like, okay, like do these weightlifting, do these things, like don't do too much cardio, you'll burn your muscles. Like these things are in my mind like 15 years later. But like, if you get a personal trainer, by the way, that's not what's going to get you and keep you in shape. The personal trainer is just somebody who's kind of gets you over the hump or motivates you a little bit. If you're not going to the gym and be doing your personal training sessions, you're probably not, it's not sustainable. And yes, there are people who have some personal trainer every day. Maybe that's their life's work, right? Athletes obviously have people that are really motivating them and giving them the best. But for most of us, like that's not sustainable. So, what does the government have to do? The government has to support better policies for regular people to like scale down on the consumerism. That's just, and like be more clear on the impact of this financial, it's sort of the financial world on your bottom line. I think that there's too many loopholes for the finance industry to take your money and not be clear about it. I think that we need more transparency. I don't know. I haven't, the name sounds familiar, but I haven't. And I know there's a book. And so I haven't read that book, but the name, because I recognize the name, so I haven't. Do you know what the book is? What's the book called? Or what's the main thing? By Thomas Piketty. But so I have read a lot of other. I know the name has been mentioned in the books that I've read. Capitals. Okay. No, I'll put it on my list. So the thing about it is the habit thing, right? It's the habit and prioritization. So I go to the gym every 5 days a week, and I have for the last 3 years, because I've recognized that like staying healthy was a really important thing for me as I was getting older, and that like just sitting around doing nothing about it, like it was going to be detrimental. Like I sort of projected to myself, like being 60 or 70, and I have some relatives sort of in that age range. And I see like the limited mobility and also like surgeries they have to go through that puts you out of commission for months sometimes. I kind of keep my workout routine. I have a workout routine. So like I have some classes that I do with people, but I don't generally like, I'm focused. So I listen to podcasts. I listen to like the wealth studying podcasts. Like I like to listen to podcasts while I do my weight, especially when I do my weights, because I do 2 classes a week and I do 2 days of weights. And I actually like listening to podcasts because you know what? Why? Mostly because it prevents me from checking social media in between sets. I'm trying to like stay focused. So I've gotten into the habit of listening to podcasts while I work out so that I can, I don't know, get more bang for my buck in terms of time. No, I don't socialize. Okay. I usually, it's so funny because I love listening to business and money podcasts, like startup podcasts. I've been listening to Seth Godin's Startup School. I find him strangely compelling. I'm sure a lot of people do. It's an old podcast. He only did like 1 series from a few years ago. I really like it. It might as well be sometimes, because government positions. Don't get me started, because I looked into it a few years ago and I was like, what? No, the government positions. Do I have a startup? Well, I own my own consulting business. I've had my own consulting business. It's not really a startup, right? It's a professional services, but I've cut out the middleman, right? So I work directly with clients, and I've done that since 2010. But what I'm really working on, like this is part of what I'm working on, right? Like I want to figure out how to bring financial education to the masses, right? Money education, because the financial advisory is already like. The financial advisors are going after like all the same people. It's the people who already have assets, right? And I don't want to do that. I feel like you see so many people struggle with money, and I don't know how to solve it. Financial independence. Oh, thank you. I'll try it. I've not been a user of Reddit. I mean, I've read about it, but you know, again, it shows my age in some ways. But I'll look into that. That's a good one. But I often feel like people who are seeking out information about financial independence and money, they've already made a mental, it's kind of like people who go to the gym regularly, right? We all think people go to the gym regularly, but like once you're in it, you like see the same people. It's not like, it's really hard to get people past that, like past that mental thing of like, what do I prioritize? And again, I look at my own experience, you know, like on and off for 15 years, I try to exercise and I've never succeeded till like 3 years ago to exercise. And wealth is the same. It's a mindset. It's a decision you make, and then you make a goal, right? And you focus on it and you check in with yourself and saying, am I accomplishing? Am I doing what I think, what it's going to take to do that? And I think that that's hard. I think that's hard for people to do that. And again, I think that, it's huge. I mean, savings rate is huge, right? Like, and it's not just the rate. It's just like the idea of what it is that you do with the money that comes to you, right? Like, and most people have already spent it. Hello. Most people have already spent the money that they haven't even earned, right? Like they mentally, like up here. This is where you're going to make it or break it, is like, do you have a plan for your money, right? That's what I talk about a lot, is having a plan. And if you're, what's my savings rate? It depends on income, right? My income fluctuates. Again, I'm professional services and I done client work and I've done less. I mean, it's been as high as 50%. What I've done instead of savings rate is I set a spending rate. Like I spend the same, we've spent the same, over the last 10 years, we've probably had the same exact, spending. So for me, it's different. I set my spending rate. Okay. But, yeah. That's not really part of the money discussion. Anyway, the spending rate. If you set your spending rate and then you boost your earning rate, everything that I earn extra, I put away. So I think it's I have a different slider, right? So it's like set your spending rate and then try to earn more. And the more you earn, like don't upgrade your lifestyle. You know, I haven't, like, I'm not that sophisticated of an investor, and I've just been investing in mutual funds, for the first 15 years. So now I'm trying to learn, right? Like I'm always learning. So I've done some peer-to-peer, lending, like Lending Club, and I want to learn about angel investing. I know nothing. Or I know enough about it, but I haven't done it. Like I'm a learn by doing. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. I was on a tweet chat 2 days ago, and the same thing. Someone's like, "Oh, ETFs are better than mutual funds," and I'm like, you know what? It shows my age, because when I started investing, it was just mutual funds, and yeah. You know what, you're right. And the mutual funds, when I started in 98, that's all there was, right? So I've been doing it, and I've created a habit of just investing in mutual funds. So you're right. And that's a challenge for me, right? Like, how do you transition? But I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to look at like this year and just pick a couple ETFs and then just start doing it, right? I'm like many people. I don't understand it. I don't want to invest it. So the Bitcoin's like I kind of have a little bit of it, an understanding of Bitcoin, but I haven't participated in it. So I don't get it. Like I haven't gotten my head around it. So I don't know. It's like, it's this currency that's kind of strange. So if I don't understand it, I don't mess with it. Like I'd have to learn about it more. I'm like a research before you do. Yeah. So I could see that for sure. I haven't gotten involved in it. I've just like stayed away from it. I'm kind of the like what you see is what you get kind of person. And so like in '98, what did I start investing in? I was like, healthcare. Why? Because we're going to live long and people are going to need healthcare. And it was one of the areas that I thought like I should, it's a healthcare mutual fund and stuff. But otherwise just broad stuff, because I'm not, again, no, I don't trade. I don't trade a lot. I'm a buy and hold mutual fund simpleton, so to speak. I'd like to do more like tax. I think more about the impact of taxes, and being a solopreneur. being able to take advantage of an individual 401k has been really impactful for me, as well as just put it away, right? And 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, and that stuff grows. So I'm just to put it in the market, put it away. So I just try to create a really, really big buffer between my spending. I'm a woman, but thanks for asking. I just keep my hair short because it's much more convenient. And so so that's the. But again, the wealth and health, because I want for both of them, like, various long-term thinking. Podcasts for wealth growth. I listened a little bit to wealth studying. I haven't. I'm more excited by entrepreneur stuff. Like find it more interesting for business startups. Yeah, I haven't learned as much about sort of various investing. As it's on my list, but I don't know. I more want to help people who are struggling to just make the gap between the spend and earn, and I think that's a bigger issue for a majority. Top 3 podcasts. Yeah, like the ones I've listened to recently, I'm trying to remember. I have a limited number of podcasts that I've listened to, because I've listened to Tim Ferriss' show, I love his stuff, but then I stopped and I listened to wealth studying for a while. Now I'm doing Seth Godin, so I just do one at a time. And then also started watching more videos like Gary V, the Ask Gary V show, and just kind of stuff that's a little bit more dynamic, entertaining, because I'm trying to get encouragement for what I'm doing, even including these periscopes, right? I'm trying to explain to my peers, people in my age group and in corporate, to be oh, let me tell you what periscope is, and they're that sounds strange. So I just right now I'm looking for more inspiration to keep to keep an effort up for this idea that I have. So. But that's the, so to summarize, both health and wealth are long-term perspectives. And if you're not connecting with your older self, it's going to be hard to invest the time and the effort today. Second of all, you could use some help, get someone to show you the ropes. And it can be a trained professional. It can be just somebody. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that wealth growth is important, but I find that the majority of people struggle with the basics, the basic money management. And I do think that wealth growth is already covered by a lot of people, that I respect and I think are better than me. And so I'm again, I'm you have to create that gap before you can either invest. And I feel like a lot of people are more excited about investing, but then I'm but you have money to invest. You create that first, right? So I'm almost downstream, right? I call it, I'm down market. And I want people to get the skill set first, to create some extra assets, extra cash assets before they start investing. And for most people, it's way too complicated. So the investing can get very overwhelming. And so it's don't worry about it, get the basics right. So yeah, I really want to get people to get to the basics first. And that's it's a bigger chunk of the population. If you have investable assets, or if you're an accredited investor, you are in the very, very thin minority, right? Recognize that, because you're, 1%, maybe 3% of the population tops that is an accredited investor. And so one of the things that you want to get there, you're going to have to. No, you know what? It's good. I'm trying to find where the resources, because it's the stuff just always done it by myself, by trial and error. I haven't had, I've had some formal education in this because I've been interested in over time, but I haven't accessed the resources that are more available today in the recent past. I just want to be trying to educate some people about basic stuff, pay your debt down, credit cards are bad, your interest is eating into everything, make sure you invest, understand your expenses, earn more money, all that stuff. So I was trying to share all this stuff, all the things that I've learned. No, I'm gonna check that out. So the personal finance and the financial independence. Thank you for those resources, because I really even haven't thought of Reddit as a place to go to see what the conversation is, in the general place. Yeah. Do you know about it? I didn't, no, I actually didn't know about it. It wouldn't even occur to me that I go to Reddit. I'm not like a Reddit user. Did I major in something? Well, it wasn't business related. I actually majored in biology and brain and cognitive science in college. But again, that was a long time ago, before the internet, like the the World Wide Web was being born while I was in college. So I have a background in science actually, but I was a management consultant and still am for years. But personal finance is something I've done for myself, by myself, and still do. I manage everything. And I feel like the thing that's really helped me is to have developed these habits that I do, like tracking. I mean, this is boring stuff, right? Like track where your money goes. And then like figure out your basic budget, and then like figure out how you're going to make that extra buffer. I have about, yeah, okay. I do know about Khan Academy. I've never been on it, but that's actually a good place, because one of the things is like I don't want to create new stuff. Like I want to point people to those resources. I do Mint. I'm like a Mint.com person. Like Mint. So Mondays, actually every Monday I talk about Mint, because I feel like, come on people, they're like, the tools are available. You need a budget? Yeah. Mint. Yeah, Mint. Like, if you're using Mint, again, like, you're probably in the top 5%. If you use Mint regularly, in the top 5% of the population, right? Like, understand that doing these things is not common. And when you start doing them, you think, oh, well, surely everybody does. And you realize they don't. Or they talk about it, or they're aware of it, right? But they're not doing it. And it's like, just do it. Like if I just do Mint, I do Mint. And I'll tell you, I do Mint every day. Right, discipline, right? But it's like the more you do it, the frequency, like it makes it easier, because you're like, you log in, like not much changed since yesterday, but whatever like issues there are with like tracking, like all I do in Mint is like log in, check what's come through, make sure they're categorized right, make sure like my balances are where I want them to be. I don't know, and then log out. It takes less than 5 minutes. It takes a couple minutes a day, but I do it every single day. Why? Because if I waited for a week and I logged on, I'd be like, oh, this is a mess. I don't know what to do with it. I'd just log out. And that's happened. It used to happen when I was like, oh, I can't deal with it. That's too much work. But if you do it every day, it's just really going to take a couple minutes. So like do it, incorporate into your habit, incorporate doing it. Same with investing. Like I try to make a schedule and say, okay, if I'm going to invest this over time, how much do I spend on housing? $2,500. Not a lot. Not in Chicago. So way less than my peers. It should be also say way less than people I know in my same situation. 4, no pets, not anymore. I used to have 2 dogs. They are expensive, by the way. Dogs can be expensive. Like I think lifetime cost of a dog's anywhere between like $20 to $30,000 if you really think about it, especially with vet bills. I'm very familiar with that. And 2 kids. But wait, dogs are expensive, but kids are way more expensive. Kids are really, really expensive. And so that's one of the things. Hello. I had children later in life, and so I had already had the opportunity to build up some buffer before then. So, all right. I think I gotta go. So, I will talk about it some of the time, but actually my husband has to go meet some friends, and so I was only supposed to be here for 5-10 minutes, and this was a lot longer than I expected. And enough. It's a personal question. It's seven figures plus. I am an accredited investor, and so I. If you, by the way, thank you so much for joining today. I do have to run. I'm on here every day, 10 a.m. So if you follow me and you want to join in the conversation or replay, go ahead and follow me, and I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. So thank you so much for joining us. This is a great discussion. I really appreciate all the engagement. I hope to see you. I hope to see you again. So again, every day, 10 a.m. Chicago time broadcast.